Better have a dolly for this one.
What have you been up to?
I've been riding on a daydream.
So this is the Happyrun G60 tank. Now they got a number up here that says HRG60, but I believe it's just the G60 tank. This is very good packaging. We're happy to have this bike because I think we're getting into a section of e-bike transportation that might be kind of a foreshadowing of what's going to happen. And what we're finding is that more and more of the e-bike manufacturers are still making a traditional e-bike, as you would think, but they're getting more towards the moped side of things. And believe it or not, I think that it could potentially replace mopeds across the board. This is the direction I think everybody's going to go to, a bigger type of transportation that's more substantial than just a regular e-bike. Now, there's a lot of people that want to recreation e-bike, and this will still fit that bill. If anything, this is more playful than most e-bikes, but it can be used for commute. I mean, it's definitely something that's comfortable for commute. I would see myself getting on this before some of the other smaller, spindly e-bikes, you know, with smaller tires. So right now, all you're seeing is a box. This doesn't make any sense to you. Let's get this open. I want to show you the packaging. I always do that whenever we get into these videos. I'll have to say that this is packaged extremely well, and it should be, because we get our stuff beat up pretty good whenever it gets delivered here from FedEx. Okay, these guys are the winners of packaging. This is the best packaging I've ever received by far. I mean, this thing is encapsulated. That's the only way you could describe it. And not from some cheap foam either. This is that higher density foam. Even though it's a closed cell, it's the equivalent of roll bar padding. Yeah, just as I suspected, there's a big 1-inch foam padding the whole way. Again, this is by far the best packaging that I've seen. Wow. Look at this, guys. Look how it was just perfect for the bike. Now, you can recycle foam. Just, you know, it's one of those things you got to find out where to send it to, but you can see off in the distance here, I'm basically putting it in the back of my truck because we recycle all this stuff. This is probably the second bike that I've had, now I think about it, that does not have a aluminum alloy. This is a chromoly steel. This is an all steel frame, and it's square tube. That's really different than what I expect from most of our e-bikes. I expect them to be made of some kind of a round lightweight. So out of the box, this is what it looks like here. I was going to show it assembled, but I have a couple of little surprises that made me think, oh, I better talk about these. First of all, the shock, the mono shock that's underneath here. You can see that there. I don't have you very close because I still have you on the tripod. It's not connected, which is smart because that makes the bike shorter. And it is just one bolt, and that's an adjustable monoshock. Just to let you know, it's the spring, the preload on the spring is adjustable, but it makes the bike shorter. That's something that you need to take note of. I would think that this is for a taller person, 5'5", I think is what they're saying is the lowest, and obviously taller, which we'll get to that a little bit later when it's together. I love the way that it looks. I love these big, I'll call them, I've heard them called, and I'll call them the same thing, gum wall. I like the gum wall on this. It's, you know, it's not so crazy to be a white wall. I've seen them yellow before, but I like the gum wall. It's kind of subdued. It almost matches the seat to some extent, you know, as far as its brightness is concerned, not so much the color. But the fender is separate, as you can see, that needs to be mounted. It looks like it's a easier mounting than most. It has tabs on both sides of the fender to where it mounts. Usually you only have it on one side, and that could cause some problems. So I'm glad they did that. It's a shorter fender. It's a much shorter fender. It's all about keeping the mud and dirt off the backside, but keeping the aesthetics looking nice on the front. And then of course the kickstand. These are 20x4, so these are fat tires. I know they don't necessarily look like it, but they're 20 inch, so they're not a big 24, 26 inch tall fat tire, but they are fat tires as far as that's concerned. The battery has kind of a built-in gauge to it, but I want to come over here to the back of the truck. That's why you're still on the tripod. And we want to go through the box here real quick. We have these November shadows, so bear with me. They do give you a bike pump. Has a couple of different inflators in case you want to do your basketball footballs. That's really nice. Let's look at the box here. Okay, your manual talks about the assembly, just like I thought. So don't worry about the assembly. It's pretty straightforward. Once you do a few, it's really easy to understand. Kind of a envelope here. Activate your privileged service. So you have a 12-month warranty extension, 60 days free return shipping. So in hindsight, maybe not cut your box open. Save your foam if you have a problem with that. Free e-bike accessory, VIP exclusive service. That's all nice, thank you. Of course, your pedals, which these are definitely beefier than the ones that I've seen in the past. They give you a bike lock, okay. It's kind of cool. I don't know what this component is here. Looks like maybe a mount for the bike lock. Yeah, it's got a thing. This is all part of the bike lock, so you can mount this on your bike and have a lock wherever you go, and not have to worry about like wrapping around your seat or around a bar or something like that. It latches in and stays on the bike. Then when you want to use it, you just push this button. It releases. You open it up with your combination, and you wrap it around the bike. You're good to go. Battery box key. There is two different keys for this. One is for basically the bike to turn it on, and one's for the battery box. I do see there's a couple of keys also hanging off of the bike, so these may be just extras. This is for your front mounting. There's going to be a difference in which side you mount these, because it does have a disc brake on it, which we'll talk about the hydraulics. Just make sure that you read through the instructions and put the thicker spacer on the correct side. We do have a toolkit. Oh, it's zippered. Usually it's just a little bag. Okay, nice. Oh, this is kind of cool. I like that. It's a 10 millimeter. Everybody can use an extra 10 millimeter. Seems like that's the one that's always missing. That's nice. And then your Allens and regular open end wrenches. Oh, and you got a bigger one too. Look at that. That's a 16. I'm assuming this is for the, yeah, it's gotta be for the axle. Yeah, it is. That is cool, so cool. I have to mount, apparently, the front disc on the bike. On the front wheel, on the front tire, is going to be bolts, and I'm going to have to mount this, and I'm assuming almost all of them have this facing out. You can see it's 160 millimeter, and E means it's rated for an electric bike. Usually a little thicker, it's designed a little bit differently. And we'll look at the charger here real quick. And we've got a it's a just a regular 2 amp charger. It takes a little bit longer for the charge compared to a 3 or 4 amp, but I get it. They're a little bit more inexpensive. And with all this other stuff that they have, I agree. Let me get it all together for you guys. So I've got the bike upside down just for a purpose of letting you know. One of the things I didn't see in the manual, which I was surprised, is exactly what I told you to look for in the manual. And that's these spacers and where they go. So anytime that you have this situation where you have a disc brake setup and you're trying to put a tire on the front, you're going to want to put the smaller spacer on the disc brake side 90% of the time. And the reason being is the disc brake is already taking up some additional space on this side. So that's why you have the small spacer, so that it keeps it real close to the fork Whereas on this side, there is no disc brake. There's a lot of room, so they put a big spacer there. Now, in the instruction manual, currently, they have some kind of a skewer that shows the quick release skewer. That's not on here. That's not what this one is. You do get a bolt with washer. So you're basically going to have the nut with a washer, and then the big spacer. It goes through the wheel. And then on the disc brake side, you have the small spacer, and then a washer, and then the nut. And then make sure that you tighten them equally so that this one don't have, you know, just a few threads on, and then this one have all the threads on or something like that. Try to tighten it equally so the same amount of threads are being put inside these capped nuts. There's a couple of things though that I wanted to talk about, and one of them is, wow, this thing's pretty substantial. I don't think that I would consider this a beginner just because of how big it is, but if you're a bigger person, and I could say it's a beginner because it's very friendly as far as the way that it feels, you know, as far as you're riding it, all that stuff. I did ride around the yard, but, you know, just talk about that in a second here. But I wanted to point out something. If I would have just followed, you know, the instructions, or at least just scanned this QR code, and basically what you do with that, I don't know if you know how to do that. This was on the screen real nice. I peeled it off. I thought I better put it back so you know where to find it. But turn your smartphone on and put it on photo to take a picture. And whenever you scan over this, most phones will come up and say, do you want to go to this website or this site in general? And then you can click the link and it'll take you there. If you're not, you may have to get a QR code reader for your phone. And again, just take a picture of that or use the QR code app, and it'll tell you how to get to this site. This site is nothing more than a YouTube video that shows all the installation for this, the entire installation. And it even talks about the bolts that I was just talking about on the front of the axle. It shows you which way the spacer goes. It shows you everything that you need to know. And of course, I didn't know that. There's some instructions on the side here that talks about checking they call it a sunflower cover. Basically, you're going to pull off this plug, and they want you to check the tightness here, and then if this bolt going this way, this bolt going the opposite way. Mine was already tightened, but the reason they do that is if for some reason that is not tightened the way that it should be, that will cause the handlebars to come off in your hand while you're riding. You don't want that. Also, whenever you're tightening down the clamps for the handlebars, again, I've talked about this in past videos, equal tension all the way around. Make sure that you torque it to where there's a gap that's equal, again, all the way around to top and the bottom, because you don't want one more tightened than the other. All right, so getting into the unit itself, the key that comes with it that says for battery box, that's just to remove the battery from the frame. It doesn't turn on the box or turn on the battery. It doesn't do any of that. That's on this side here. And again, that's just to release the battery from the frame. Here's the switch that turns it on and off. Very simple. Also, you'll see that there is the charging port. So when the battery's off, if you want to do it that way, you can charge it. If not, you can leave it on the bike. So whenever you push this button, it's going to tell you what your battery level is. The problem that you're going to have is it's got to be on. So don't get upset if you push it and it says E. You got to turn the battery on so the gauge can read that. With the battery on, you get your other key, which is the ignition switch. Now, this reminds me a lot of my basically 40-mile-per-hour scooter I used to have, and the fact that it has a key, and when you turn it on, it tells you what your voltage is. I don't know if that's coming across on the screen very well because of refresh rate. It is a little bit harder to read because of glare, but right now it says 49.8 volts. And then, of course, you have a big battery gauge on the display here. On the stalk, you have a few things. One is the light, which you turn on and off just with a simple button push here, which a lot of these other ones, you know, that's the one thing I didn't like is you have to like hold the up button for a couple of seconds for the light to come on. I just don't care for that. It does have a horn. It'll get your attention, not traffic's attention. People on the trail are going to think you're riding a motorcycle in the first place because of the way the bike looks, and they're going to be upset because you beeped it real loud at them. But with the headlight on, let's go ahead and turn that back on for you. You can see what the tail light looks like. It's very pronounced. It's an overcast day. You can kind of see here the clouds. The sun is out over there somewhere, but I can see that just fine. And as far as the brake light, we'll go ahead and see if I can reach this. You can see it's just a single extra light there. I don't think that traffic will necessarily notice that. Even though this is kind of a cool feature, I don't think traffic will necessarily notice your turn signals either. I just don't know. They may, if they're sitting behind you long enough, they might pay attention to that. But you can turn on both if you're trying to get somebody's attention, I guess. But you do have to turn them on and off. They're not an automatic cancel on these. As far as the display, again, not extremely bright. When the headlight's on or off, it doesn't dim, so that's nice. They do have 2 pedal assist here, or I'm sorry, 3 assist levels, just 1, 2, 3. It's a very easy to read display as far as the brightness is concerned when you're on the bike, but I think that in bright sunlight it might be an issue. However, the display is huge. I mean, that's a very big display. The other thing that's really cool on this that I haven't seen on a lot of other ones, hydraulic brakes, awesome, no big deal, seen hydraulic brakes, but these have adjusters for the amount of hydraulic you want to apply. So basically, you're adjusting the piston that is pushing the hydraulic fluid down to the brake. What that's good for is making sure that the rear brake gets applied a little bit more than the left brake whenever you're grabbing them equally with both hands. Reason being is you don't want to throw yourself over the handlebars with these disc brakes because they will grab pretty good. You do have the ability to lock out on your suspension or adjust your compression. I'll show you that here in a second as far as the way that this looks with me on it. I have it tightened all the way up because I'm a big guy. And then on the back, again, we have that monoshock, and the monoshock has these notched progressions. And right now it's on the lowest setting, so it's going to give me the smoothest, most comfortable ride. 20 pounds of pressure on the tires, talking about ride, and the ride is definitely adjustable with your tire pressure. I don't know if I would run any less than 15, but if you're wanting a more firm ride, I think that you could probably go up to maybe 25. It should be okay. I just think that you should run them at the recommended. I kind of like that they say that this is hippo skin. And it does list it as a moped tire. You have those 5-spoke looks on the bike itself. It's really cool. Plastic fenders, I'm fine with that because that means no rattles. And they do have this smoothed out cast or formed stripe into it. I've seen that before. Looks like there's some accessories that you could get because they do have bosses coming off the back of the seat on both sides, and they actually have a license plate bracket. I don't know what that's going to mean going down the road, but who knows? It could be with regulations, they may start requiring these things to be registered on some level. Now, with that said, this is not listed as a Class 2 or Class 3 e-bike. This just says that it is legal for the road. You need to check your local laws, bike trails, stuff like that. Although this is a 750 watt motor, this is a 1500 peak power motor. So that means whenever you're really into it, when you're really wanting it to do something for you, it can peak out to 1500 watts. That's a lot. So much so on the power that you got to watch with the way that this suspension is, and you could kind of see in the geometry. If I was to sit really far back in the seat, I'm kind of putting a pivot point further up for leverage wise. And one of our subscribers also has, of course, his own YouTube channel, Kev Central. He let us know that be careful. He says, because this will pull a wheelie if you're really juicing on it, and depending on where you're sitting on the seat. So you got to be careful of that also. I did put the handlebars kind of up more forward than probably they need to be. I probably could sweep them back a little bit more, make it look a little more, I don't know, custom, I guess you could say. Maybe I'll do that. One of the other things I did not show you, which I need to show you now, is this is the daylight running light. So it does give you some indication on the street for other drivers that you are out there. But if you turn on the headlight, obviously you're going to get a very bright projector beam, which shows up very nice in the like I said, kind of overcast day. So let me show you what this thing looks like with a 6-foot rider on it. I'm 270 pounds, and yeah, I need to be on bikes more pedaling than riding, but let's go ahead and show you what the suspension looks like with me on it and how much I can get it to compress. So again, 6 foot, 270 pounds, put the kickstand up here, and that's all that is the plastic that I'm making noise on the seat. I think it's kind of just settling with my big butt on there. But yeah, it's pretty, I mean, you can compress this pretty well. I mean, it's like a teeter-totter. I can get the front to bottom out if I want. Let me go ahead and try to snug up the compression on the front. Yeah, there we go. The front's even stiffer now, but I'm like I said, I'm a big rider. So let's go ahead and zip around here a little bit. Let's see how much. I forgot to tell you that this is a quarter twist throttle. Yeah, it's not too bad. It's not jumpy. That's what I was checking to see if it's jumpy. Nice. Incredible. I'm gonna tell you, that's one of the things that I really like about full suspension bikes. You get a full suspension ride, and I'm so lazy. I just don't like to pedal. I mean, obviously I will, especially whenever it helps you get up hills or get going in traffic, but I would much rather just twist the throttle and go. So let's go ahead and see what this thing's like on a little bit of a ride, just around the block.
Probably the best bike. It's too tall for me.
Yeah, it is. Look at, you're way on your tippy toes.
Yeah, I don't even know if I can get off on it.
How'd you like the ride though?
I liked it a lot.
It's very smooth, isn't it?
Too tall for
It's like a moped.
Yeah, I'm like, if I had to get off, I would be pushing it back.
Right.
but it's nice. Here, hold my hand.
Say the ride's pretty good on this. Comfortable. Because I'm so big, you know what? And the battery I don't think is fully charged. Well, it's pretty good. I'll get it up to 27 miles an hour there briefly. I love the display whenever you get it. And I see why they've got it the way that it, man, is that nice? It's colorful. I'm colorblind and it's really nice looking to me. But yeah, this is a lot better than I thought it was going to be as far as the ride. Very, very smooth. And the reason I say a lot better than I thought it was going to be, I thought with all the suspension that it might be a little bit overkill and it wouldn't be soft enough. And that's definitely not the case for me. I don't know in the case of you, but for me, this is a nice, smooth, soft ride. This is very, very delightful. I'm very happy. This is a little bit different than what I expected because of the steel. I thought that was something else, that it was just going to be unbearable because of it being all steel instead of some sort of a aluminum alloy. But they did it okay. They did it all right. This is pretty darn good. And here's the thing. The price point on this is not bad. The price point, considering this is a moped in some sense, and all the features that you get, like I said, you've seen all the different, hydraulic brakes, the nice display, the lights having its own. It's a good deal. I like this. The link will be down in the description. I don't know if I'll have a discount for this or not, but the link will definitely be down in the description. Please, if you guys are considering getting into a full suspension moped type bicycle or e-bike, look at this company. Go ahead and go to their website. Again, the link in the description. Read through, do your own research, see what you think. But man, I mean, doesn't this just look really cool? I feel pretty comfortable riding around on this. I don't feel like I'm necessarily some sort of little wussy on something small. Okay, guys, that's it for this review. And as always, we hope to see you out there. Bye.